Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are tackling this awesome Blood-Red Commander Igris from Solo Leveling. Let's get into it. This fantastic sculpt comes to us from Kaidan. They've created both an original and a shadow version, and today we are focusing on the original. Get ready for a lot of red. If you're looking to add this model to your collection, I'll have details on where to find it at the end of the video. And there's also some details about giveaways I'll be doing in the future, so stay tuned. The model was 3D printed using Elegoo ABS-like resin. Due to its size, 1/6 scale standing at 32 cm, the printing process took a few days. The first step is applying a coat of black primer to provide a good surface for the subsequent layers of paint to adhere to. Once we've applied the black primer on the model, and it's necessary to use thin layers to not hide any details. After that, we are going to apply iridescent rich silver heavy body acrylic from Liquitex using the dry brushing technique. This method helps to highlight the raised edges of the model. As metallic paints can be quite aggressive, I recommend using an older or less expensive brush for this step. You can see how the brush catches the details. Now, while I could achieve a full silver base with more layers of dry brushing, I'll be moving on to the airbrush for a smoother finish. Dry brush does the job well, but you can still see some brush strokes. And airbrush just makes it a lot easier to achieve a smoother finish. I'm applying thin, even coats of the same silver, and once it is fully dried, we're going to move on to our next step. You can use this technique for armors of other color as well. Just make sure once you've applied the silver base paint, you use transparent paint on top of it so that you can still see the metallic finish underneath. We are using base red color of Slaughter Red from Army Painter's Speed Paint range. The properties of contrast paints like Speed Paint allows the black primer in deeper recesses to still show through, creating a natural shadow effect. The paint is transparent, so you have to be careful when handling it as it's easy to scratch it off, unless you use a varnish on top of it. We'll do that later. With the main red color applied, we allow it to dry completely. You'll notice that the vibrancy of the paint can change slightly as it dries. Due to the transparency of the silver paint or speed paint, the underlying silver will still influence the final color. Bright paints like red look really bright when they're wet, so it's better to wait for them to dry before you decide if the color is good enough for you. Now, to introduce highlights and create more visual interest, I'm now going to use bright red from Vallejo's Premium series with the airbrush. Applying it from above helps to simulate natural lighting. It's better to spray it from top, leaving some of the areas or underneath in the shadow region. They'll still look a little bit darker, and it gives us a bit of contrast. You can achieve more contrast by painting darker red or purple from below, but we're going to skip that to keep it closer to the renders. Once the red paint dries, I'm sealing the paintwork with a layer of Liquitex Ultra Gloss Varnish for protection and to enhance the red tones. Make sure to give it enough time to dry once you've applied the varnish, otherwise it can mess up the entire smooth finish. With red armor done, the most difficult part is out of the way. You can paint black using your brush Red, I prefer using airbrush because it requires a smooth, consistent finish, but black is a lot easier to apply. This is the case for other darker colors as well. If you can, recommend using airbrush for lighter and brighter colors and brush for darker paints, but you can do the entire process with the brush as well. You just have to be patient, have consistent multiple thin layers, and it can look just as good, but it just needs more time if you're using a brush instead of an airbrush. I'm looking to add the details on the mask. For this, I'm using more a smaller brush. I believe this is size 0. Make sure you apply it carefully, but if you use gloss varnish, it makes it a lot easier to fix any mistakes by wiping off any excess color that might come onto the red. Same with the hands and the gloves. Next, where the final details are the eyes. I carefully apply white. This is from Vallejo, the white paint. And in my experience, it has the best coverage in terms of whites of all the paints I have. The model has raised surfaces to make it really easy to apply the paint and to know where you have to apply the paint. Colors like white usually takes 2 layers to have it done completely perfectly. And once we've finished that, we're done with the metal portion of the moon. Now we'll start working on the cape and the plume. We'll start with the same black primer base, and we're going to apply a zenithal highlight using gray primer. By spraying gray primer from top, it automatically creates dark shadows and covers the raised surfaces with white. I'm applying the same bright red from Vallejo with the cape in thin layers. It's important to address any remaining support marks from the printing process before the painting. A lot of the times you might realize that there are still support marks in the middle of painting, but it's good to get rid of them as soon as you discover them. Once I have applied the bright red, I'm going to let it dry. I'm applying it using thin coats. And it might take 2 or 3 layers to make sure that the red covers the whole model properly. To create a visual distinction from the armor, I've added a little touch of orange to my red and airbrushed it as a highlight on the upper surfaces. While you can also introduce purples into the shadows for added contrast, I'm keeping it closer to reference material for now and just using red and dark and orange. Moving on to the base, we are again utilizing zenithal highlighting, applying white primer from above to create predefined light and shadow areas. For the base color, I'm using Royal Purple by Pro Acryl. Base color, I'm using Royal Purple by Pro Acryl. Applying a thin layer over zenithal highlighted surface will naturally create brighter tones on the lighter areas and deeper shadows on the darker areas. I'm using thin consistent layers and due to the zenithal technique, it automatically creates highlight. Now, once we put everything together, we have the completed Blood-Red Commander Igris. What are your thoughts on the final results? I've been painting miniatures for about a year now, and this journey into creating YouTube tutorial is just beginning. If you found this video helpful or enjoyable, please consider subscribing. If you like to support my work, you can find unpainted model kits and commission painted figures through my shop. The link is in the video description. You can also follow me on Instagram at Rangrez Creations. I'm planning giveaways as I reach follower milestones. At 2,000 followers, I'll be giving away a bust or GB model of your choice. And at 4,000, a lucky follower will win a full-scale model of your choice. Share the page with your fellow enthusiasts and let's achieve those milestones. Thank you for watching, happy painting, and I'll see you in the next video.